Well, a very warm welcome back to the Humble Climb Season 2. As you can probably tell, I've been away for a couple of weeks and got a new shirt that I wanted to wear as well. So I just bought that last week, Damo. What do you reckon?
It's looking good, mate.
I'm pretty happy,
as
man,
always.
because it's a bit of like a tan. I want it to just be as fresh as I can. So
you are looking,
mate. Yeah. So I'm trying to be as relaxed as I can. So Season 2, we're back, and a massive thank you to obviously sponsors that have jumped on board again, and always the continuous growth. You know, those that come, those that go, I always appreciate regardless. So a big thank you to those that sponsored in Season 1 and those that are coming on in Season 2. So, you know, kicking off with Bonza Snowballs, who's back again for another season. Amazing. I don't actually have any of their products today because I'll be honest with you, I totally forgot to bring it. So that's on me. So, but the boys there, they're amazing. So Bonza Snowballs, thank you so much. Gigi Herring Kids, as always. I know you got 3 little ones, mate. So when the time comes and you're coming from Keilor down to Huntingdale to get a haircut, I know where to send you. Barbecue Brothers Catering, they're a new one that have just come on. They're amazing. So for your next function and you being European background, you got the chivapes, don't you?
The chivapes, mate.
Yeah, you got the chivapes. So Andrew and the team will put on some chivapes for you. And lastly, B&A Car and Truck Repairs. They're travelling in and out of the place. So the whole Anagnostiatis family are absolute bosses. So a big thank you. But let's kick things off. Damien Cavka, welcome to the Humble Climb.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Funny story how myself and Damo met. So when I finished school, I was studying sports management, and you're 26.
Just turned 27. Yeah.
Okay. Don't look at it. You're absolute.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a rooster. But anyway, so when you finished, well, you were year 12, and I was a couple of years out of school. I was doing some work experience out of a sports management talent agency called Blue Rock Sports. Shout out to Paulie Koutafidis, the great man. And you were obviously an up and coming talent within the footy world. And we thought, righto, this guy's European. We're European. We're every chance to get in this guy. You know, there's a Cavka. He's a Cavka. He's going to go with the Demianos and the Koutafidis. But I remember coming over to your house on a Saturday, and we did the whole. Well, I didn't really pitch. I didn't really do anything. I just sat in it just for work experience. But your mum was a hairdresser. She was doing the hair out of your house, everything like that. And we were trying to get you to sign with Blue Rock. And funnily enough, as the way that worlds collide, it didn't end up going Blue Rock's way, but we kept in touch for a fair while, and you ended up going and doing some pretty cool things.
Yeah, no, it was good. I remember it felt like yesterday. Geez, that you guys come around, and I remember it sitting at the family dinner table, and going through that part of I guess the journey of player managers and this and that in my former life, playing footy. To see that, I always hit it off well with you and Paul, who I still ask about today because I've got the utmost respect. And it's amazing how life just continues on. And, after so much happening over the last, say, 10 years or whatever it's been, 11 years, we still keep in contact. And
mate, it's gone full circle, which is crazy. And we're going to get into it because obviously I'm no longer in any sort of sports management. The only thing I represent now is houses. And you went through the whole selection of talent of agencies, and you ended up getting pick 66 in the 2014 draft. Is that right?
Yeah.
I did my research, as you can tell.
Yeah, that's it.
I saw that about 10 minutes ago. Yeah. But no, I always wanted little things. But yeah, you went to West Coast, and of all places, an 18-year-old European kid going from Melbourne to Perth.
Yeah, like it was a bit of a shock. I remember, now my wife, she turned around and she said to me, obviously she was a bit sheltered, which is what I love about her because she's so innocent. And she said, everyone's screaming, and like I probably slid a bit more than what I'd expected because of what ultimately ended my career anyway. But she turned around as everyone settled and everyone's jumping everywhere and jumping all over me, and she turned around, she's like, is that in South Australia? And I just started laughing, and it was actually funny, like, because I was everyone that knew me coming through, they knew I was a collector for AFL jerseys.
Yeah, right.
So I had every single AFL club's jersey, even though I was a Collingwood supporter growing up. And I remember when Nick Nat got drafted to West Coast, the first thing that I got when he got drafted was a West Coast jersey.
With number 9 on it?
Nah, I didn't get the number 9 on it in the end, but it was so hard in Victoria to find a West Coast jersey, And I remember I sent my mum when I was younger, geez, I would have been probably 14 at the time, 15. And I said, I need that jersey. And then all of a sudden, you know, your worlds collide and you end up meeting them and this and that as time goes on. But yeah, it was pretty, it was surreal. Like obviously, you know, European descent and close family. Like I am very close. Like my dad's still my best mate. So for me to move over there, it was a real eye opener. But you know what? I don't regret, I guess, the opportunity and, you know, I guess the experience of me going over there probably formed me as my character and how I am today.
100% amazing. Like, and I look, for me, if someone had said to me as an 18-year-old who the furthest I've gone from, I don't know, sort of Oakley. But if anyone said to me to go to WA, I went to WA once to Fremantle when I was super, super young. But it's such a 4-hour flight, which it's crazy because you think nowadays we do Europe and we take 24 hours to get there. We don't even care. But it's Perth, it's like, wow, it's 4 hours.
It's literally 4 hours in a different time zone. Like I remember obviously going over there and I'm coming home from training, and I'm eating dinner and my parents and family, it's 9 p.m. here because it was summer. I remember we went December 1, so the draft was on Thursday. They gave us till the Sunday night. I was on a plane.
Wow.
And then it was a 3-hour difference because of daylight savings. And
were you shitting yourself a bit?
No, I wasn't, because it was my dream and I did work my ringer off to try and obviously get into the league, and I did everything I possibly could to give myself the best possible opportunity to get drafted, in which I did. Unfortunately, you know, with injury and stuff like that, which, you know, was a big part of my life, and that experience that I went through with my injury probably really groomed me, as in to form my character, being humble and 100%. Always looking forward. So, I was nervous, don't get me wrong. Walking into the club, you're starstruck. I rocked up to the airport with Tom Lamb, Liam Duggan, Jackson Nelson, and it was myself, so us 4 Victorians. And I stayed that first night, I was staying at Scott Selwood's house, and I'm just like, geez, like this is real.
Surreal, yeah.
So the next day we were in the club and we were ready to go, meeting all the boys, getting the uniforms. It was like a boyhood dream, but I guess you kind of look at it and say, well, this is what you wanted.
And did they put you with a host family or something?
Yeah, so I was with a host family, which was fantastic, but obviously, I did it a bit different. I was lucky that I moved out pretty quick from the host families within probably 3 months, and I moved in on my own. It gave me the ability for my family to come up for whenever they wanted. At least they had a place to stay, and I just guess it was more comforting for me, I would say.
You got a girlfriend as well.
I had obviously my girlfriend, who's now my wife.
Yep.
And for me, you know, she was obviously stayed here throughout that process, and she was in transition of moving up before I had to retire. But like it was easy for us. So school holidays, she could come over, and then all the boys. It was actually a really good thing because the boys that were from Victoria, they were with host families and they stayed with their host families, but it gave them a point to be comfortable. Yeah. And, you know, there was rarely a night that I'd stayed there myself because the boys would just say, can I stay over? So, you know, I had 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. The boys would stay there. We'd all crack along and do our thing. You know, it was, I guess, comfortable for everyone. And yeah, like looking back, it made me have to learn to be a big boy. Yeah. Obviously, my mum did a lot for me growing up. I didn't really have to do a lot. Whereas living on your own, you kind of have to learn to fend for yourself.
Sort of showed independence from a real quick and early age, I think, because at 18, 19, like, you know, a lot of us moved out only a couple of years ago into our own homes. I mean, yourself, you're now a dad of 3 at 27, which we'll get into. But certainly shows independence, but I probably understand as well where you're coming from with, sometimes just wanting your own space. Like, and European families, I don't think anyone would ever understand unless you're in one.
Yeah.
How we operate and how we work. Like, we're very loud. We're not loud. Oh, loud. My sister, funny story, picked me up from the airport last week, just off topic. And speaking of loud, and my sister picked me up from the airport last week when I got back. And first thing in the morning, it was about 5:30, 6 a.m. and she was just talking normally, but in my opinion, it was loud.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, can you just keep it down a bit, man? Like, you're so loud first thing in the morning. But I just realized that's just a European thing.
Exactly.
So, and also, like, we do get bottle coddled to a degree.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
I guess they're always going to be like that. And knowing your parents, I'm sure they would have been up probably more often than other parents. In Perth as well.
Well, yeah, Mum spent a lot of time. Obviously, I had my battles with a pretty severe injury and stuff, which, I needed a bit of assistance because I was a bit debilitated with it. But, Dad at the time was finishing up, retiring. It was good that he had a project in WA out in Forestfield there, and he would come up. But when he'd come up, he'd be putting things together for the house, putting table tennis tables together, put in flat packs together. So he didn't really enjoy it. He was just kind of my lackey there. And I was just going to the footy club and just doing my thing. But it was good. Like, at the end of the day, like, I was a pretty structured kid coming through. I was driven and I just needed that for me. And like, everyone's different. Like, everyone does things differently. My goal was to hopefully be there for a very long time and hopefully contribute to some success. And, it didn't eventuate like that, but it is what it is. That's life.
100%. I think the way that, and again, we'll go around through the full circle of things, but, seeing your growth as a person from when you were an 18-year-old or 17, 18 when we first met to where you're at now, 10 years later, like, it's pretty incredible. And we're quite close mates, obviously. Like, you were at my 30th, last month. So it's really cool to see your growth as a human and as a person. But it all stems from, obviously, the family. In my opinion, like, the ethics and the morals are just there from a ground base. Like, I'll never forget, obviously, walking into your home when I first came through, it definitely reminded me of my home to a degree because it was just so loving and caring and very, very, very family-orientated people. Obviously, you have the injury. Like, I know you've told me about it before as to how it happened. Like, can you just replay for a bit as to how exactly the foot injury really took place? Because it's kind of a freakish. It
is a freakish thing, and it's it definitely is real freakish. And the way that it goes is it's like, on draft night, I knew 100%. Well, I got a call straight after the draft when I got picked up by West Coast, and I remember replaying it, and it was one of my coaches, Graham Bergen, who Bergs is a funny bloke from Calder Cannons, and he said to me, Damo, the voicemail was, I love you, mate, but just letting you know you were a pick away from staying in Victoria. And I started laughing because Richmond had that pick, the next pick.
Shit.
And to see, obviously, the tenure they went on to have, and they picked Dan Butler in that pick, I think it was, yeah. Wow. And look, that's obviously coming from Bergs, but to then obviously going over there, and I loved every minute in Perth. I love West Coast. I still do. The club's just fantastic, and you don't realise how big they are and how much of a powerhouse they are until you're there. And then obviously my injury, I guess in a brief way, it kind of stemmed from I had a concentrated bit of arthritis that probably a few clubs were a bit scared of coming through the draft. Is it just
from overwork?
To be honest, it's a hard one to say. Like, it's not from probably overworking, but every person in their body has a weak point in their body. Some may be in my stomach. Some people might have it in their arm or whatever it is. Unfortunately, mine was in my foot, and it was in a pretty severe big bone, the navicular. And clubs were a bit scared, so I had a little bit of a lesion in there getting drafted. And then I went over there, and anyway, we were in an intra-club game, and how it happened was I went to go kick the ball, and someone dived to tackle me. And as they went to dive to tackle me, my foot basically snapped in 3 spots. And, it was like pretty sore, but we'd thought, okay, we'll just go through the process. I got a scan. There was a little fracture in there, and this lesion, it was called a transchondral lesion, was popped up on there, but we already had known about it. So we thought, oh, it's okay. Anyway, to cut a very long story short, you know, I was immobilized for a little while due to the fracture. The fracture had healed and the lesion hadn't healed. And as I would start to weight bear, I'd get more of a sore foot. So then we went back for scans again, and there looked to be a bigger hole in the lesion.
Oh, right.
So what essentially had happened was they said, okay, well, it's not the fracture, it's this lesion. It's been disturbed by the fracture. So cutting a very long story short, multiple times, got it assessed. We went to surgeons. They said that because of the area that it is, because of the cartilage, you can't grow it back, and the cartilage is all broken down. And there's like they called it a disease in the bone. From the top and the side and underneath the foot, the bone was strong.
Was this right or left?
This was on my left.
And you were
right-footed.
Yeah, okay.
So everything was strong, but internally, inside, it was becoming hollow. So as I was walking, my bone was eroding away because the thing that the osteochondritis dissecans, whatever they call it, that it didn't like was fluid, and fluid was getting in because there was no cartilage barrier. So I was washing the bone away. I had multiple surgeries. They were all trials where they tried drilling the bone to promote blood flow for it to calcify. And then, you know, hopefully that would then solidify the bone. But my biggest thing was I couldn't grow the cartilage back. Wow. So every time I would get the surgery, every time I'd start weight bearing, my foot would hurt even more. So what was happening was that where they had drilled was getting washed away more, so I was losing more bone. Ultimately, after about 5 or so surgeries, it come to a point where I still remember the day. Mark Blackney was the bloke, like they had gone afar and tried to see what different surgeons there were to I guess, do the best treatment for me to keep my career going for as long as possible. And no one had any proof in the pudding. So the best person to do it was Mark Blackney. And, you know, he trialled a few of the surgeries, and it come to a point where I remember we were at the 2015 grand final with Hawthorn, and we lost that. And we had our exit meetings at the end of that year. And, you know, I had a meeting with Simo and that. Everything was good.
And who sits on those meetings just quietly? Is it just you and Simo?
I think every meeting will vary, but generally it's Simo, like the coach, the footy manager, and maybe your line coach.
Yeah, okay. That's sit in your exit meetings towards, yeah. I've always wondered that. Yeah.
It's always at the end. So basically once you have your exit meeting, you're done, go have your holiday, do what you have to do, see you when we're back.
Yeah.
And that's your okay for your end of the season. So I come back to Melbourne. Simo said, all I want from you is to just, I don't care about you training over the break, because he knew I was a bit of a workhorse with my training. He said, I just want you to enjoy your break and come back to preseason day one, just healthy.
Yeah.
Go see your surgeon, see this, see that. Anyway, I had a pretty big appointment with Mark in Melbourne in that November or after the finals, so October it would have been. And I remember I got the scan and saw him, and I remember he was sitting here, and it's the old St. Vincent's there in Gipp Street.
Okay,
and the MCG's in the background.
Yeah.
And I remember he said to me, he took his glasses off and said, Damo, like the surgery didn't pass. Like we can't do much. Like it's not working. And I'm like,
and are you limping at this point?
I felt pretty comfortable at that point.
Yeah.
Because we were very tedious with it. They were very tedious with it. And ultimately, if that surgery had failed, they really had no option but to fuse the foot fully. And it was quite an intrusive surgery, which meant to get to it, they had to snap my foot open, pack it with bone, redo the foot, as in the ligaments and all that, and then put bolts and screws in it to fuse the foot together. So then that joint had no chance of any fluid getting in because the bone would be fully fused together. So anyway, that's ultimately what we had to do. And
so you did the fusion?
Oh yeah, I had no real choice because we were close to being in a, well, I don't like saying it because it's not I guess a good thing to throw around, but there was getting to a point where the navicular could have concaved and then I would have had a dead foot. Yeah. So, which ultimately means potential wheelchair or whatever it is. And
as a young guy at your age, forget about that.
And mate, I was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And it come to a point where it was like, okay, let's just get back to a bit of normality. It'd been about 12 months or so where I was off legs. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite an active person. Well, I was, still try to be, but,
same.
Yeah, that's kind of a very long story cut short to the sequence of events.
So you get it fused?
I get it fused, and that ultimately meant I had to retire.
So the fusion meant that you couldn't play again?
Nah, so there's a lot of things that I couldn't do. To be honest, I busted my clacker off with rehab and that to the point where
try and get it going, yeah.
I remember the days my mum would take me to the gym and I'd be at the gym just trying to fire up my nerves to try and strengthen my calf as much as possible, strengthen whatever part I can because I couldn't move my foot. It was like a block to try and give myself the best possible opportunity to just be normal. And it come to a point where I had a fantastic recovery. I'm able to, I guess, run in a straight line, still run okay, but the things obviously that an AFL footballer or an elite sportsman need to do, I couldn't back it up. Like it would just flare up. I'd be at more risk of other things like if I fractured that area or had little stress fractures, it's obviously a lot more complex. So, I look at it from a positive perspective, being told you'd be lucky to walk maybe without a limp again and this and that, to now being able to walk, being able to take my kid, my son for a walk or run with him with a pram or whatever it is. And, hopefully my daughters, when they're a bit older.
Bring him to a 30th birthday?
Literally bring him to a 30th birthday.
That was the best. He was the king of the dance floor.
Literally. And I got to chase him around. He was
the best. Everyone wanted to dance with him, man.
Yeah. So, being able to do that, like back then I was thinking, why me? But now I look at it and say, well, you know what? That's a part of my life. It was tough, but you kept moving forward and you got through it.
Yeah, I don't reckon you'd be where you are now with like the drive that you've got with work that you've got. I don't reckon without that happening, because like you've had something like that you've worked so hard for taken away from you. Like obviously, and we'll get into CAVOLT Electrical, but I think you're already making the waves in that industry as well right now with what you're doing there. So I don't really think failures are really an option.
Well, nah, not really. Like I turned around and when I had the conversation, I had to be on crutches and moon boots and this and that for about, it was probably, I reckon, 6+ months, like post the surgery.
That bad, huh?
It took a long time.
And had you retired once you did that surgery?
Yeah, so we retired. We did it over the break. I think it was announced that
you were going to retire.
Yeah, over that January break.
Yeah. And did you still have a year to run on your contract there?
Yeah, so West Coast, mate. West Coast, I'm still forever indebted to the footy club. Like the people there, West Coast were amazing. Like in regards to obviously helping me get back to Melbourne, trying to make sure that I was as comfortable as possible. I didn't have to do a thing to basically move a double-story house back to Melbourne to my family.
It's classy individuals.
Mate, you know what? That footy club, and it was led from the top, from Nisbet and all that. They looked after their own. And, my parents and family were, I guess, very appreciative as Europeans to see that the footy club had my back.
Dad's dropping at the rakia.
Literally, and that was the biggest thing. Like I didn't have to do a thing, and they asked me with my contract what I wanted to do, how I wanted it done, because obviously I still had my contract there. Like as in with payment and that, and mate, they looked after me throughout the whole process.
Yeah, just classy.
Which was amazing, and even with the AFL and stuff like that, like they helped me with the next phase of what having to do. So, yeah, I couldn't speak highly enough of the footy club and guys in there, guys like Peter Staples and Serge that were inside the footy club that looked after the player welfare and looking after guys, I guess, that are struggling a little bit with, whether it's mentally or just off the field or whatever it is.
Homesickness or whatever it is.
Those guys are amazing, so, and even the footy club as a whole.
Because those guys that you got drafted with now, I think the only ones that are left is Jackson Nelson, I think.
So Jacko's, at the Waffle. He's, I think, skipper of the Waffle side.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then obviously Liam Duggan's obviously.
Duggo's still in there.
He's still obviously going to be in there. Tom Lamb, no.
No, Tom Lamb's not. Alec Waterman was there.
That's right. That's right, he did too, yeah.
Yeah, so
his brother's Jake, is that right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, it was a good crew. Like, we still keep in touch. Obviously, life goes crazy. When they come back down to Melbourne, I'd always see them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We still keep in touch, but also life goes in different ways, and sometimes you just get caught out and you're too busy, and you just carry on with life,
Which is funny now the way that where it's at. So obviously we reconnect on footy finishes and everything, and then obviously we've not reconnected, we've always been friends on Instagram, whatever. And then when you saw obviously you were doing some stuff with CAVOLT Electrical, I'm like, what's this spark emoji in his name? Yeah. And obviously we caught up for a coffee to see if there was any synergy that we could try and help you with through work, with any of my clients or, whatever it might be, to try and just get you some extra work. And then that's obviously gone through the roof for you. And I haven't really had to do anything other than do an introduction, to be honest. You've taken care of the rest, which has been amazing. But CAVOLT Electrical, talk to me about it, because you finished footy and you've gotten your foot fused and now you're fixing fuses.
Yeah, literally fixing fuses.
I've had that
good.
one.
I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one. That should be a new little motto, man.
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, so CAVOLT, like, obviously, post footy, my dad sat me down and he said, Dame, whatever you put toward your footy and whatever you put toward that part of your life, I know it doesn't seem like this right now, but if you put this towards that attitude towards the rest of your life and what your career is moving forward, is like, you'll be successful. 100%. And that's still stuck in my head still to this day. Basically I took a little while to find my feet, but I was lucky that I was under the tutelage. I guess I didn't turn around and fold into the fetal position and say, why me? I just kept kind of looking forward and moving forward, because life still kept going. So obviously become a Sparky, did my apprenticeship under some really good individuals who still, like today, I still speak to, and I'm indebted to them because they gave me the opportunity to do what I'm doing now. Then I turned around and I loved always dealing with people. And when I started my time and as I went through and I started learning the ropes, I loved, I guess, relationship making and I guess meeting new individuals and getting results for people and servicing people. So I always said, okay, electrical is one part of my life, which I enjoy, and I wanted to master that and try and be the best electrician that I could possibly be. But also, why can't I bring the two things together and be a good Sparky and know what I'm talking about, but also service people and give them results and basically let them wipe their hands clean when they have an electrician and say it's us, CAVOLT, whatever. They're not just getting, say, a Sparky, they're getting the brand CAVOLT. Yeah. They're getting myself, who's very involved in the business, and I'm on the front line all the time with the guys. It's not like I just dish out the duties to other people. I think keeping my finger on the pulse is probably one of my strong points. And I looked at it, I said, I want to go into business. Went into business pretty young with, I guess, electrical. At the start, you obviously deal with a lot of people that obviously like my father's age, which, you're a small fish in a big pond, and you kind of have to earn the respect of people. It's like me when I went into West Coast and I had to earn the respect of the guys, and I did that through my work ethic and I guess my attentiveness and my punctuality and getting results. So that's what I did with my business, and started off just I guess small one man band, and then obviously connected with some clients and some contacts and stuff like that. And all I did was I said, whatever clients I get, I just want to do a good job, and I basically don't want them to flutter an eye when they choose me, because I always say, even when the phone keeps going, which the phone, sometimes doesn't stop, and, my wife, it sacrifices family and stuff like that, but it's all for, I guess,
greater good.
The greater good. Always look back to it and say, Dame, when you feel like you're under the pump, remember the days when you started and your phone didn't ring at all.
True.
And you're waiting for that phone call and you're waiting for that job. And you're like, oh, geez, what am I doing next week? Or what am I doing this week? And now I look at it and I say, well, look, I've got a long way to go with the business and with everything, but we're making good yardage. And the only reason why I'm making good yardage is, I guess, I've got a good team around me. I've got good support. And I've got good networks around me that gave me the opportunity. And it's been up to me to deliver on that. And I haven't been able to deliver on it without my team. So, I guess the business is going okay, but there's still a very long way to go.
I love what you're doing. Like I reckon, I mean, other than the fact that I've got you saved as Rooster, because I think you've got the body that I've always wanted. But I genuinely think that you're an absolute Rooster. But I remember when you hit me up on Instagram, and I was like, yeah, 100%. I'm like, if we can help this guy out, and I spoke to a few people and just said, look, just give him a shot. It's on him if it doesn't work out, type of thing. All I can do is do the intro, and everyone that I've ever sent you across, including, people that you've done work for, clients, friends, referrals that are across from the office, like everyone is just over the moon with you. And I mean, what I've loved is the little bits and pieces, and this is not because you're in front of me, so I'm not saying this. One of the smartest people that you can always, I've always found, you always be nice to two people.
Yeah.
In my line of work, the receptionist, and the property managers, because the property managers in my line of work are the ones that are dealing with landlords, and the landlords might ask them, hey, I'm thinking of selling, who should I give it to? If you've got a good relationship with them, they'll give you the lead.
100%.
Similar with the receptionist. That's always been my line of work, right? So when you come in and you come strolling into the office with donuts and cupcakes and stuff like that, I'm like, this guy is like, I know we don't look alike, but our vision of business is very, very, very similar, which is probably why we get on so well. Talk to me about those little things, because I just think that, like, it's not I know you don't do it because of a way of keeping, sweeting people up. I know that's just in your character. Like, it's like us getting a coffee before, like we're just going to buy each other one. So talk to me about that, because I think that's more important to me, or as a business, doing these little 1%ers, I just think that they add up to the final thing, because the next time that the girls in the office need an electrician, well, Damien brought them that donut. Yeah. So,
well, the thing is, like, I genuinely don't do it for, say, getting more business and stuff like that. The thing is, for me, is I'm always the type which I'll always pop in to a client, whether it's a builder or a client or a real estate agent or whoever, I guess, gives me the opportunity to put bread on the table and help put bread on the table for, say, my employees and my team. I want to repay that faith and I guess give them that appreciation and respect. So for me to just me driving and I'm, having to detour a little bit to come say good day and say hello, that for me is just, I think for a business owner or any person in business is, I guess, not forgetting where you come from and actually just, respecting these people that, at the end of the day, my job is to make it easier for these people. And, you need to know who you're dealing with. You can't have, I guess, the relationship purely just over a computer with an email and this, like an email, do the job, invoice a job. That's not how I operate. I want something tangible. And I reckon
that's almost why I love you, though, because like I think when it comes to business, and this is why I genuinely love giving you work in particular, is because you're an old soul. in some ways, which is awesome. Like that older style stuff. Like he's not like you're not a massive Instagram person. You're not a massive social media person. Like you're an incredibly old soul. Like I know I love it. I respect it because in a lot of ways I am too. But all these little things that you do, and just checking in the office and just saying g'day and is everything okay, and calling up afterwards and making sure that you're treating our client like they are your only client. Yeah. I think making someone feel that way, I feel like that's what you've almost nutted down, because that's the feedback that we get. Like you're dealing with you're dealing with builders, you're dealing with everyone, and now you're doing stuff interstate. Like you've built a team, and you're hands on, but you're almost running the business more than being hands on now as well.
Yeah, well, it come to that at the start. When you start, you're hands on. I guess leading from the front on the tools and on site, and sometimes you have to get your hands dirty and stuff like that. But
getting my hands dirty.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
it keeps me busy, especially when you got 3 kids. And
I know, and this is the thing. Now you got 2 twins. Sorry, I should say 2 twins. I just say twins.
Twins.
Is that right? Yeah, I always get that wrong. So, talk me through it just quickly before. Yeah. So you got, because your journey's been incredible, as I said, from AFL footballer to injured to foot fused to fixing fuses. I'm going to go there again to now running accessible business. Because how many staff have you got now?
In Victoria, we're at about 9-ish, and then in Queensland, we're at about 5 or 6.
Freaking awesome. So the next time that anybody that's listening off here, we'll do like a little humble client 10% off code or something. Yeah. That when they need their fuse fixed or whatever they need, or they've got an investment property out there that they need to get something checked with their switchboard or whatever, make sure you contact Damien, because we're going to have all his details at the bottom anyway. Yeah. So you've got, and we'll make sure that obviously you're well looked after, because this guy is my go-to. He's just the boss. But now you're 27, like you're older than me, man. You got 3 kids, which is just amazing. Yeah. But you got twins, so the names?
So Alea and Ayla are the twins. Yeah. That's a tongue twister, and they're 5 months years old.
So cute.
Which, it was funny. They were born the day before Good Friday. And it's a funny story, even though I can't play footy or whatever, but I've tried to pull the boots on Good Friday, and I committed to that. So I kind of left the wife in hospital the day after. I'm like, love, sorry, I need to go. And then she's like, what? I'm like, I kind of committed to just having a bit of a run, so obviously the little gorgeous pumpkins, Alea and Ayla, and then the little the prince, my boy, Ivan. So Ivan, named after my dad, and it's a funny story, that name Ivan. It's every firstborn in the Cavka household is named Ivan.
Yeah, okay.
And my dad, being a typical, I guess, European or Croat, he was a bit stubborn and a bit of a rebel when he was growing up. And his dad was tough on him, my Gidor. And, my dad didn't want to call me Ivan. So he called me Damien Ivan. So my middle name's Ivan. And my grandfather, my poor grandfather, the only grandson he has, he didn't get an Ivan. So that was a meltdown in the family. And then obviously when I had my son, I'm, as you said, a bit old school.
I love it.
Tradition sticks home with me a bit, and I named my son Ivan Damien.
Oh my God, no way.
So it's Ivan Damien Cavka, and then I'm Damien Ivan, and then every single firstborn on the family tree is Ivan, apart from me.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So I guess I'm the rock in the
that's gold
in the road.
That is gold.
He's 2 tomorrow. So
oh my God,
he's a little character.
He's gorgeous, man. At my birthday, he's a boss. He's a boss. Like that. Well, we talked about my birthday, obviously, but that was a heaps of fun night for sure. The little ones running around, but he was a little rock star.
He's not shy. He's not shy. So
it's good, man. That's almost the best part about it. So, and then a lot of obviously the Croat boys in the AFL. Yeah. Obviously you got Ivan Soldor, and you've got Maric
and Mate, Kalina.
So there's a few. You know those boys well?
Yeah, so we connect a bit. There's obviously Team Croatia that we have for the
Noah Bolter is also. Isn't Noah Bolter?
So Noah Bolter, all the boys. We keep in contact, Maric is obviously a killer boy. originally, so that's where we're
Your bread and
from.
butter, yeah.
So we're locals, and I guess we stay connected, and that's something that's special that brings us close
sure.
together. So when we do have those, I guess those carnivals and stuff like that, we don't see each other a lot, say during the year. It's just every now and again. If we see each other, how are you? How's things at the soccer club or whatever?
Go down the Melbourne Nights in sunshine.
Yeah, well, they're more so Dinamo or whatever. There's always rivalry there. But
I love it.
yeah, when it comes to Team Croatia and that time, we always catch
together.
up.
Yeah, I love that.
And I guess that's good. We share a common ground.
100%.
And it brings you together, your culture.
100%.
Which is good. I try to stay away sometimes from the Croatians because, like me, sometimes we can be a bit hot-headed. But
I don't know how much more hot-headed you can get because you're also married to a Greek.
Yeah, so I'm married my wife. So we've been together since, year 11.
Wow.
So it's been
high school sweetheart.
It's been a high school sweetheart. It's been, my first girlfriend cross, then ending up being my wife, and the mother to my kids. And we've been married for nearly 3 years now. And I'll say I've got 3 kids. She'll say she's got 4 kids. So I'm the biggest of them all. So.
Oh, you're such a dilf, man.
Yeah.
Man, and we always try and finish off on the standard 3 questions, which we ask for every single Humble Climb guest. I'll give you the first one is outside of your is there anyone, we try and stick to outside the family, but if there's not, completely fine. Is there anyone from inside or, predominantly outside, but is there anyone from the inside, like this work ethic and everything this drive that you've got? I guess there's a particular idol that you might maybe idolize someone on, hypothetically.
Yeah. Well, look, to be honest, my biggest idol is probably my father.
Ivan?
Big Ivan. My dad, obviously, and also my grandparents. My grandparents, I'll touch on them a little bit because from where they come from, both my mum's side and my dad's side, they had nothing when they come to Australia. They just had each other and love and family. And with what they made and created and gave all of us an opportunity to have such a better life, like in Italy, because my mum's Italian, my nonna, come from hard times there with the war and obviously, not a lot of opportunity. And they come here and they work their way through. My grandfather, my baba, on my dad's side, they come from Croatia where it was war-torn. There was nothing there. My grandfather running away from, a village getting infiltrated. A landmine had come off about a couple 100 meters away and he's still got a lump at the back of his head from a rock hitting him in the head. Like to see where they've come from and to see what they've done in their life, thank God my nonna aren't with us, which is unfortunate, but to see what they did and also my grandparents, it's just amazing. Like I think in today's generation, if we were put in that circumstance, we would crumble because without a phone, without an iPad, without a PlayStation, without whatever, we crack the sads.
100%.
Them, they had nothing. They were lucky to put food on their table. And then from my dad's side, obviously his work ethic. And, when I was a kid, I still remember I played on my birthday. I was 5 years old. I played under 10s and you always got played in the forward line for your first game, to try and kick your goals, right? And my dad was always there for football games. But during the week, I never saw my dad. He was always working, providing for the family, busted his ass. And he was stuck in traffic that night. It was a Friday night game and he missed my first 2 goals ever of my football career.
No way.
And I'm still as a 27-year-old kid, I remember that as a 5-year-old, But like looking back at it, when my dad wasn't there at times, he was doing it. So I guess for the future, us kids could have an easier life or give us the best amount of support as possible, whether it's giving you the best education, the best opportunity to do well in life, being a resource for, I guess, myself now for business. Now it's at a point where I need that support because I'm only 27 at the end of the day. I didn't expect it to have, I guess, the staff and the work and
the growth that
two different divisions that I've got and multiple divisions within them. So I need that support from someone that's been there and experienced. I would say he's my biggest idol because he just worked, and to see him retire at 49, 50, now you look at it and you say, geez, he's my benchmark.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to be. I want to be at that level, if not better, not for myself, but for my kids and my family. So touch wood, the day I'm not here, my family, my kids and everyone, I know that I've left a good imprint for them to, I guess, take it to the next level. Because they say every third generation blows it. They blow it. And I'm the third generation here.
They're blowing it, man. So I can't see you blowing it, dude.
My dad says that to me all the time. I said, mate, I'm not blowing nothing. All right? I said, I'm not blowing nothing.
I don't think you're blowing it, man. I'm not going to head like yours, to be honest with you.
I don't want, obviously, I want to teach my son that and my girls. And I just want them to keep doing it for their family. So it's like, I guess that's how empires are built over years and years and years of hard work and good work ethics. That's how you kind of build that for your family.
I love that answer. It sums up a lot of what I think as well. So that's what I enjoy that question so much. And you can tell that's what I love about you. You are genuinely an old soul. So I enjoy it because I can relate to it.
Yeah.
That's the best part. Second question: if you could have a billboard, what would it say and why?
Never die wondering.
Like it.
Yeah.
Well, location?
Hey?
Which location we talking? Is it a DFO or where are we talking? Where would you have it?
Where would I have it? I think I'd have to have it. I don't know if you can do it, but
you can do it. Hypothetically, there's a permit. You can put it wherever you want.
Where you want it, wherever you want. It'd have to be somewhere like, right across the Westgate Bridge or something like that.
That's up the
where
top,
you're driving up.
Maybe like so it's on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, like there or
on the
something.
Ferris wheel, so you're driving as you see it.
Never die wondering. And
I love it.
And that's been a quote that I've probably recently, I guess, looked at. And it's funny, my dad will laugh when he hears this. I said it to him because, there's opportunities that come and go. Never die wondering. Give it a crack.
Damien showing you on.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. That's the best. Man. And the last one, which is always a bit of a funny one to finish on, is if you weren't doing what you were doing, so let's just say that you didn't have AFL, and you didn't have the CAVOLT Electrical that you do now, if you weren't doing what you were doing, what would be a profession you would love to do and why?
My passion is the human body and as in health, fitness and that sort of thing. So to be honest, and it's not out of the equation, I'd love to really one day have my own wellness or performance studio where, I'm able to have it. But I guess there's performance studios and that out there for, I guess, the upper class, and they're costly, and I understand why because they take a bit to run. But I really like to do it for the community, as in for local footy clubs and stuff like that, where kids can get the opportunity to, I guess, be exposed to, I guess, elite facilities as such. I don't know how it would work, but I really like to, where you have, your recovery zone.
Start from the ground up.
You have your physiotherapists or osteos. You have one of each that you can rely on, but you base it to help the community rather than just going for your elite athletes, because I think there's a lot of kids out there that, they might be disadvantaged, or they might not get the opportunity, and they never really progress it because they just say, it's too hard. Whereas maybe there's something out there that can give them a kick to keep giving it a crack. So that is probably my passion. I probably would have done physiotherapy or osteopathy because that's my passion. But I guess this is what I'm doing, mate. So, but as I said, you never die wondering. You never know what happens.
Man, I think I've always said, like, I'd love to open up a little cafe or something. Yeah. So I think you've always got to have like your job that you love and you enjoy, and I love real estate, but I think you've always got to have, if you can have your, another little side hustle that ticks things over for you,
It's a job. It's not a job if it's your passion.
100%.
Like my passion is dealing with people and stuff like that. So
which is the best part of both our professions, which is amazing.
You deal with people, and then you're like, yeah, it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night where you get off the phone or whatever it is. But you're like, oh well, it is what it is.
Best part is, man, you've got the best excuse to go home because you've got 3 gorgeous children, man, which is amazing. And from a serious point of view, I can't thank you enough for coming on because I know we've been talking about this for I don't know how many months, and then I was overseas, and you've been crazy busy. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. You're a rock star. It's amazing to see your growth from where you were 10 years ago, obviously, to not that you were anywhere bad, but obviously from getting drafted to going through the system to having it cut down to now where you're at, because it's just amazing, and I'm looking forward to many, many, many years ahead of this friendship, man, that continues to blossom in a good, positive way.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and just the biggest thing, mate, like for people out there, just give it a crack with what you do, when times are tough, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
I love this little saying, and it's your current situation is not your final destination. And I love that little thing. So it's as true as that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Continue to show us plenty of love. Share as much as you need to. If you're interested in hoodies or our awesome hoodies and our hats, feel free to get in touch. But Damo, you're a star. You're a DILF. I call it to you all the time. You're an absolute rooster. I love you. I love your guts, and I'll continue to bring this out, and we'll continue going forward and smashing CAVOLT Electrical.
Thanks, mate.
Enjoy, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll chat soon.